Duke Ellington was an American jazz pianist and band leader. There's a huge page on him in Wikipedia, and I am by no means going to do his entire life history justice in what I want to be quite a short introduction here. So he was born in 1899. He may be the first, maybe the only act in this list that was born in the 19th century. He formed his first group at the age of 18 in 1917 and was in several groups, sometimes by the sound of it at the same time. Some of them with different names for the same people, I think, and played. He had been training as an artist and was working as a sign painter, but he basically gave that up to go professional musically. In 1927, he got an opportunity. Just by then, he was leading these bands. He got an opportunity to be hired by the Cotton Club, which is a famous and somewhat notorious Manhattan nightclub in New York, obviously, Manhattan, and which is a place where Cab Calloway played and was immortalised in the film The Cotton Club, strangely enough. And he got that opportunity because another jazz guy called King Oliver turned it down. And in order to fulfill that contract, he had to increase the size of his band. And it was, I think, at this point when he really became big band. And there was quite a few people involved. His career then went up and down over the years. At times, he was more popular overseas. He did a tour of England and Scotland at one point. His career got a boost in America in the 50s after he had made an appearance at the Newport Jazz Festival. He recorded many things in many ways with many people in lots of different configurations and with his band. And he apparently recorded for every possible US label that there was, and has what was described in Wikipedia as the largest recorded personal jazz legacy. He died in 1974, aged 75. Hi, my name's Dan. So this is an album of jazz, as you might imagine, of course. It's my first time hearing it. And my process that I normally take is that I will listen to an album twice when I'm reviewing. And usually I do one listen, then try and do some reading up about the album, possibly about the act as well, if I've not done one on the act before, and then do a second listen. It's not always quite as clear-cut as that. I also try and make sure that my two listens are on different sets of equipment so that I can hear what an album sounds like in different contexts. And mostly one of those listens is on my commute, because that's one of the major reasons that I'm doing these reviews, is to give me something interesting to listen to whilst I'm commuting. And most of that's not important, but the reason I wanted to share that is because on my first listen, I thought it sounded a bit like it was a soundtrack album, in that you've got short tracks, and they're kind of one idea tracks, or they feel like they are, and they're somewhat kind of, it feels like we're doing this, and then we're doing that, and then we're doing that, and it didn't feel like it's got the same kind of curve as an album, as kind of studio albums normally have. So. And the reason why I'm saying that is because when I did my reading in between, I found out that there are good reasons for this. It's not a soundtrack album, but it is a concept album. So this was 1957, and most people would think that concept albums appeared for the first time around about the end of the 1960s. Some people will quote Moody Blues' Days of Future Past as being an early concept album. Now, looking it up, apparently, some people will ascribe the idea of a concept album to Woody Guthrie back in 1940, which is miles before then, obviously before LPs. LPs started to become a thing around about 1955, 1956, and so this is 1957, so not long after that. And the underlying theme here is that it's scenes from Shakespeare, and it was inspired by a Shakespeare festival that he encountered And so there's some of the tracks have got very obvious names that connect to Shakespeare plays. So like there's a track called Lady Mac, one called Sonnet for Sister Kate, one Madness in Great Ones, one The Star-Crossed Lovers, and then there's 12 tracks in total on this album. They're written by Duke Ellington and Billy Strayhorn, who was his habitual kind of sidekick in writing, over 3 weeks. And although some of them are apparently reworks of earlier Strayhorn tracks, there's so I don't know how big a band has to be categorized as a big band. There are 16 players on here, so that maybe counts as a big band. And the other thing that is very big bandy about it is that it's scored rather than improvisation. And there was a while when I wasn't hugely impressed by big band because I was the jazz that I knew I liked was stuff where there was improvisation, and I felt like writing jazz down wasn't the right thing to do. I've relented on that since, as I've heard some really good big bands since then. But this is scored rather than improvisation, and but it sounds, it's jazz in various forms and different feels, um, and it's solid stuff. It's an interesting idea. It does make it feel overall. It has that kind of soundtracky feel, which is of we've got a series of ideas that we're doing, and there's a certain amount of disconnectedness between them. But having said that, I feel like it's pleasant listening. I did enjoy having a good listen, so I liked it. And reading more about it, I found it interesting as well. So that's what I think of the album. As always, I'd like to invite you to tell me what you think of the album. So please do leave a comment, and that's it from me for now.